Multifamily Upgrade Program. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Stephanie Birkland with TRC Energy Services. We are the implementer of the program, and thank you for joining us today. Just a few housekeeping things to let you know how the webinar will be hosted today. We're using GoToWebinar, and you're able to enter in your audio pin for your line on the right-hand panel of the GoToWebinar screen. We have everybody in listen-only mode at the moment, so everyone is muted. If you have any questions, please feel free to enter them into the questions tab within the GoToMeeting link here. And we will stop at the end of each section to answer questions that are come through the chat. Today we're going to be covering a recap of 2016. We just closed the program as of last week and are happy to share our exciting 2016 results with everybody. We're also going to be talking about the 2017 project eligibility requirements and also our goals for 2017. One of the largest goals for the program is to have larger energy reduction in all of the projects. And we have some mechanisms set in place to help drive projects for deeper energy savings. The program, as everyone knows, funding is limited, and the offering should at all times be subject to change or termination without prior notice. This offering is funded by California utility customers and administered by the Pacific Gas and Electric Company under the auspices of the California Public Utility Commission. So in 2016, we had a really exciting year. One other quick announcement I'd like to make for the program is at PG&E, we have a new program manager. Her name is Jane Jansen, and she works on several other PG&E multifamily programs as well, and recently took over the reins for PG&E for the multifamily upgrade program. So we're very excited to have her with us this year. Karen Contreras, the former project manager, has moved on to a new role within PG&E. We enjoyed working with her and are very excited to work with Jane moving forward. Just a high-level recap of 2016. This table shows you what the goals were for 2016 in the middle column, and on the right-hand column is our actual completions for the year. So we had an incentive budget of $2.3 million this last year, and we came in right at that budget this year. And this is, mainly attributed to all of your participation in the program. So thank you for making this year a very successful program year and also driving the demand for the program for the upcoming year. You'll notice that our unit goal was set at 2,000 units this last year, and we ended up accomplishing around 3,100 units with our incentive budget. What that basically means is we also keep in mind allow projects that are in dual utility service territories. For example, we have some projects that are located in the SMUD territory or also Southern California gas territory. So we're able to accomplish more units given that we have large participation, especially in the SMUD territory. One of the, as I had mentioned before, in 2017, we're working to increase the savings per project. So to give an overview of sort of where the program fell this year, we had about 38 properties participate in the program. We had a pretty good split of market rate and affordable properties participate. And also the percent energy savings, the average is 19% savings over existing conditions, which was very similar to the 2015 program as well. So with these kind of stats in mind and looking at how the program has performed the last few years, we're looking to be able to drive for deeper energy savings. So we'll talk in a little bit about how the program will be working towards that goal. In addition, we also saw some of the same common measures that were installed through the program in the last few years as well, with windows, lighting, and kitchen appliances being the primary measures that we're seeing in the program. This last year, we also had a 4-part training series. These were 1 to 2 hour live webinars. All of the webinars are posted on the program's YouTube page. So if you weren't able to attend the webinar series this last year, please check out the YouTube page. They're there for you to view at any time. As I mentioned, the topics that we hosted this last year, we hosted a 4-part series on asset management. Next year, we will be working on a operations and maintenance 2-part series, which will be scheduled for the Q1 of 2017. These will all be hosted live, the operations and maintenance trainings via webinar, and as I mentioned before, will be available on the YouTube page afterwards. For 2017, we are anticipating an early January launch. We have expanded the unit and incentive totals due to the program's success of the last year. We're looking to make an announcement very soon. This announcement with the official launch date will consist of the new incentive structure, new program performance updates, and also the handbook for 2017. The purpose of today's meeting is we wanted to be able to give you guys a preview into what some of the changes are for next year. And we'll have more firm details for you in the program handbook and agreements that will be coming out shortly. So we also are here to ask any questions in the meantime, so feel free to call up the program staff if you have any follow-up questions to today's meeting. And just another note, we will also be hosting a 2017 partner orientation webinar before the program launches in early January. So watch for that to come out. It'll also be live broadcast and taped for you to view at a later time. Some of the important deadlines to keep in mind for 2017, they're very similar to the structure of what we had set up for 2016. In terms of all enrollment and past assessment, all projects must pass assessment review by the end of September. I apologize, this date on the slide is incorrect. It should read September 29th, 2017. All construction and completion documents need to be turned into the program within 30 days of construction completion, or by November 13th, 2017, whichever comes first. The reason for this deadline on the completion within 30 days of construction completion is to have projects that are completing throughout the year, make sure they're staying on strict completion schedules to allow the program to accommodate projects that might be interested in the program, but if the program happens to fill up, we need to enforce these deadlines to be able to accommodate all projects that are interested. The program also, just would like to remind everyone that projects are subject to being placed on a wait list if deadlines are not met. Our 2017 goals, we are targeting for 5,000 units. We also have an incentive budget of $5 million. And the timeline for the program this year is starting in January through December 2017. So this is very similar to the last several years of the program where it runs on a yearly schedule. And we realize there are challenges with a yearly schedule. However, we're here and excited to support all of the projects to help them meet program deadlines and all of the eligibility requirements. So we are, the increase in the incentive budget from this year to next year is really attributed to all of you, our partners, who have called us on a very regular basis and updated us on your projects or upcoming projects, and allowed us to really go into this year with a robust pipeline of potential projects. So thank you very much for all of your continued communication with the program and letting us know about projects that are interested in participating. This really was a huge asset to be able to go into this year with a fruitful incentive budget to accommodate a lot of projects. The eligibility requirements for next year for the projects are similar to they have been in the past. So we're looking at 5 or more attached units. The program does allow, on a case-by-case basis, properties that have buildings that are 2 to 4 units that have multiple buildings like that on one property. So if you have projects that, for example, have duplexes, multiple duplexes on one site, please contact the program, and we will be able to determine if we can accommodate in the multifamily program, or if it's a better fit for an alternative program under PG&E. Once again, we're still going for affordable and market rate properties, along with high-rise and low-rise. The minimum threshold to enter the program is a 10% improved savings. This is done by modeling. And also, we are continuing to offer incentives to the program to projects that are serviced by PG&E gas or electric. So if you have projects located in the SMUD territory or also one of the other service territories within California, please give the program staff a call, and we'll be able to help direct you if the project will be eligible for the program. In addition, similar requirements, there will be 2 or more measures that are required out of the 2 of the 4 categories below. These are the same categories that we've had the last 2 years, and as most of you know, there's a variety of different measures within each of these categories. And these are more detailed, outlined in the program handbook. Qualifications for partners to become, to renew in the 2017 program are the same as 2016. So all you guys will have to do is attend the multifamily upgrade contractor orientation, which, as I mentioned, we will host in early January, and also tape that so you're able to view it at a later date if you're not able to join the live broadcast. In addition, signing the PG&E Multifamily Upgrade Program Participation Agreement, and lastly, satisfying and providing all of the supporting documentations for the licensing, certification, and insurance requirements. All are unchanged from last year, so we look forward to receiving your application packages for participation next year. Another few changes and updates for next year that we wanted to let you guys all be aware of is the combustion safety testing requirements are very similar to what they have been in the past. However, there is a change to the updated BPI standard. This is the 2015 standard practice for basic analysis of buildings. And we have also updated this standard with amendments when the PG&E standards are more stringent. So these standards, the BPI 2015 standards, are available online currently, and the program standards with the amendments will be available shortly with the upcoming program handbook release. I'm just going to pause there and check if we have any questions.
Yes, one question. So the 10% eligibility requirement, is that individual buildings, or can the partners use a weighted average for all of the buildings on a property?
Great, thank you for the question. That is for on a building by building basis. The program is still working off of individual building models, so the 10% is by building.
That's it for now.
Okay, great. All right, so we have restructured the incentive scale for 2017, and the program has done this to encourage deeper energy savings and provide more lucrative incentives for projects that are going for deeper savings. So you can see on this table below, we've outlined what the incentives are on a % improvement over baseline basis for this last year. The program offered a $600 incentive per unit, starting at 10% improvement, and it capped off at $2,250 per unit at 50% improvement. This next year, the program has lowered the entry incentive and kept the scale at 1% increments. So as you climb the scale, your incentive goes up by $25, $50 per 1% improvement over 10%. However, at 20% improvement, the scale increases and goes up to $75 per unit per % improvement over 20%. So you can see that we've raised the ceiling here for projects that are going deeper in energy savings. And this was designed to have projects come in that have large scopes and encourage projects that are maybe just coming in with a few measures to go deeper with these more lucrative incentives. The incentives will also be paid at completion, similar to how they have been in the past. And we've also been able to, the assessment incentive for owners to participate in the program to help offset the portion of the rater services cost for doing the field assessment and modeling and verification is similar to last year. It's $100 per unit and capped at $20,000. Also, something to note is there's a $25 bonus per unit if projects achieve 25% or greater savings. So this incentive, the assessment incentive, is unchanged from last year. It is really just the upgrade incentive structure that has changed for 2017. I'm going to pause there and see if there's any questions before moving on.
Yeah, just to clarify on that the building issue. So if one building does not meet 10%, will the rest of the buildings on the property still qualify?
Absolutely. So if one building does not meet 10%, that building can be excluded from participation in the program. And the other buildings that are meeting the 10% requirement will be paid if they've met all of the program requirements.
Great. That's it for now.
Wonderful. So in addition to the change in the incentive structure, we also have designed minimum performance standards, which are going based off of the Energy Star standard. So these include clothes washers, dishwashers, domestic hot water heaters, HVAC systems, and refrigerators and freezers. So these new standards are all based off of the current Energy Star standards and will be provided in our updated handbook for next year. As we mentioned, the goal for 2017 is to encourage deeper savings, and this is another mechanism to encourage projects to install more efficient equipment through the program and receive incentives for that. In addition, we have several program collaboration opportunities or offerings for your customers. through the Solar Thermal Water Heating Program, or the CSI program at PG&E. This is a program that is in effect until the end of 2017. As we had mentioned on our last quarterly meeting, this is a program that has a generous amount of incentives, and they are focusing primarily on multifamily buildings in this next year. So if you have any projects that are interested in participating in the CSI program, please contact us and we can help facilitate their participation in that program as well. In addition, we are working with water districts throughout the state of California to offer incentives for cold water efficiency as well. So this program right now is, if you give us a call and let us know if you have projects that are interested in participating in cold water efficiency programs, we can help identify the opportunities and connect them up with the correct incentive mechanism. And always, in addition to these two programs, we are also in constant communication with other PG&E programs and also statewide programs. So if you have a project that you're not certain will fit into the multifamily upgrade program, please feel free to contact our staff and discuss all of the different incentive opportunities for your project. Even though it might not necessarily be through our program, we're happy to help connect everyone up to alternative programs as well. In addition to the minimum performance standards, we do have a few other new standards for 2017. These require a few different documentation changes for our participating raters and contractors. These include providing a lighting schedule for the installed lighting, which I will go over in just a minute. In addition, window installation, we will have a few additional photo requirements for submission to the program, and also wall and attic insulation. Window and wall and attic insulation are, as you guys know, measures that are sometimes difficult to verify at the back end once the project is complete. So the program is now requiring photo documentation of these measures throughout construction. And in just a little bit, I'll tell you, I'll give you sort of a preview of what that's going to look like. So below here, we have, many of you see this on the incentive reservation letter, where we will specify out each of the measures and their specifications. In addition, we will be adding these minimum documentation requirements as well to the incentive reservation letter. We will be establishing these new requirements through more frequent meetings with the project, the owner, the rater, contractor, and the program staff. And these will be set up for each project and discussed at the beginning and throughout the project to see if any adjustments need to be made. So as I had mentioned, we are requiring that all projects provide a lighting schedule, such as in the table below here. This new requirement is a result of the program is currently going through an impact evaluation, and also there was an impact evaluation done on the program for the 2014 pilot. And some of the findings of that are we are being required to document lighting at a more detailed level. So rather than just providing the weighted averages for the inputs into the models, we will be requiring a lighting schedule such as this one here on the screen. As I had mentioned previously, the program will be requiring additional photo documentation. So currently, we do require photo documentation of all measures. However, with that, there are some exceptions with measures such as insulation. This last year, we we received several photographs of insulation in the attic and also the walls that are warranting us to want to be able to ensure that the projects are following proper installation guidelines to ensure that the measures installed are performing to their fullest ability. So during installation of windows and also insulation, we will be requiring the project team to provide photo documentation to ensure that the project is meeting minimum installation requirements. In addition to this, the program is also going to be providing quick check fact sheets for all of these measures to be able to help the project team identify the proper installation techniques for all of these measures. In addition, all of the measures, as I had mentioned before, do require photo documentation, and we will be asking that you provide pictures based on your sampling protocol for the project at verification. Rather than only providing documentation in a few of the units. It does need to be for all of the units that have been sampled. As I had mentioned before, these photo expectations will be set for each project based on the measures that are being installed, and they will be discussed during the mid-project meetings. And I will get to what the mid-project meetings mean in just a moment here. But we wanted to just share a few photos of projects that measures that were installed this last year, that some inconsistencies were uncovered, and these types of documentation will really help the program and also the participants to be able to correct any issues that are found as the project is moving forward, rather than identifying them at the end and realizing that it might be very difficult to fix, and also potentially would fall out of eligibility for the program. As I mentioned, we will be requiring 3 new mandatory mid-project check-in meetings for the program. So what this looks like is we would host a meeting after the assessment is complete. This would be between, all of these would be between the owner, rater, contractor, and MUP staff. In addition, after construction kickoff, to discuss all of the documentation requirements that are needed throughout the project. And then additionally at 50% completion. And this 50% completion will be defined for each project in the incentive reservation letter. So these meetings will be set up on a project by project basis, and all of the guidelines and requirements needed for the project will be outlined in the incentive reservation. So it'll be very specific to each project. And as I had mentioned before, these meetings are really a mechanism for the program to be able to help identify all of the opportunities for the property, whether it be through the multifamily upgrade program or another PG&E program, or even, as I had mentioned before, a water savings program. So this is an opportunity for us to be able to offer up a full package of opportunities for the project, and also encourage, as I mentioned before, the deeper energy savings for 2017. With that, I'm going to pause and take any questions on the last slides that we have gone through.
Can you briefly describe how a project that's in a dual commodity territory is calculated, the incentive for that project?
Yeah, sure. So the way that we calculate savings for that project is we're still looking at the whole site savings for the project on a building by building basis. It still needs to meet the 10% minimum improvement. But then what we do is based on the modeling and results of that, we are able to determine the portion of the fuel source that is being incentivized by PG&E. So for example, in SMUD territory, we are just looking at the proportion of gas savings for that project. And then once we determine what the proportion of savings is, we're able to scale the incentive based off of that proportion of savings. And if you have any projects in dual fuel territories and you're interested in understanding that a bit further, please feel free to give us a call and we can help walk you through it and you know, give some estimates if we have a full enough picture.
Okay, and can you refresh the partner's memory on what the assessment incentive is, how that scale works?
Yes, absolutely. So the assessment incentive is $100 per unit, and if the project just achieves 25% improvement or greater, there's an additional $25 bonus. So if projects are receiving, for example, 30% improvement, that project would receive $125 per unit for the assessment incentive.
Great, that's it for now.
Wonderful. Okay, so I would like to thank everybody for attending today. We have a few program resources to remind you guys all of. Our website is going under a redesign, and we'll have new areas for training and also an energy efficiency blog. We will also continue to post all of our program webinars and meetings on the YouTube page. And the staff here at TRC is available for you via phone or email at any time. Please feel free to reach out to us. We look forward to providing you guys with more specific details on the program launch and also some of the updates that I mentioned today on this phone call. As I had mentioned, those will be updated in the handbook and also covered on the program orientation webinar coming up in early January. So with that, if there's any last minute questions, I'm happy to answer them. If anything comes up after the phone call, please feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to talk about any requirements or any of your upcoming projects that you might have questions about.
One follow-up to the assessment incentive question is, what was the cap? The cap is $20,000, and as Steph is saying, the information is available in our handbook and on our website, and we can provide that to you directly if you'd like. So feel free to reach out by email if you need some more information. And other than that, I am getting a lot of thanks and happy holidays.
Wonderful. And we, on behalf of the program at PG&E, would like to thank all of you for participating this last year and really bringing us into a, as I had mentioned, fruitful pipeline for 2017. We are really excited to be able to support many more projects this year and are very appreciative of your partnership in this program. With that, I will sign off.
Couple last questions came in, Steph.
Yeah, of course.
The estimated date for contractor kickoff. Gonna have to ask you to clarify what the question is there. But we have one more question. When do you expect 2017 funding to be committed? I think the question there is, when do we expect the program to hit a wait list at some point in time in 2017?
That's a great question and something that is a little difficult to answer at this time. As I mentioned, we do have a pretty robust pipeline of interested projects. And so the program, once opened, will process application packages on a first-come, first-served basis. And after that, the program does have, deadlines to submitting and conducting the assessment review of the project on the property. And if all deadlines are met and the incentive reservation is issued, the project is secure in the program for 2017 if all deadlines are met. At this time, due to the increase in the incentive budget, we are confident that we are able to serve the current needs of the projects that have expressed interest in the program. And we will be hosting quarterly partner meetings next year as well, and we'll be able to provide everybody with updates on where the program's at with reserved incentives and number of units in the program.
So follow up to that, 12-month program cycles are not conducive to market transformation. What happened to the 10-year program? Is that still planned in the future?
That's a great question. So we understand the one-year cycle is difficult to meet, especially for multifamily properties, and given the scale of a lot of the scopes for the projects. However, at this time, we haven't rolled into the 10-year cycle for multifamily programs. And I, at this time, don't actually have an idea of when that is slotted for, but it will not be obviously this year or likely in 2018. So we will keep you posted on if and when that 10-year cycle will be projected to start.
And just to follow on that point, we agree with you, but we're in a place now where the best sort of advocacy we can do on that effort is to continue this momentum in the program. So we realize that this is a difficult timeline, but we're hopeful that the success that we've had, increasing success that we've had since 2014 in this program, will lead us to the rolling portfolio program more quickly. And there are some signs, some indications that we're headed in that direction. As Stephanie mentioned, the increasing unit goals and incentive budgets. We're hopeful that if we continue to meet these expectations, that the transition to a longer-term program cycle is more justifiable, and hopefully in the near future. But as you know, that's a that's a political issue as much as it is a technical program implementation issue. There's a question about how many units are in the interest pipeline. I think you mentioned that though briefly on the last question, Stephanie. Can you just reiterate?
Yeah, sure. So I don't have I don't have a number prepared today for how many units are on there. But as I had mentioned, we are confident that we're able to support projects that are currently in the pipeline and additional projects that are interested in the program. So I realize that's sort of a vague answer, but we also have a lot of projects that have been interested in the program for a while and may have already proceeded with moving forward on their upgrades without the program. So at this time, it's a little difficult to gauge that, but once the program launches and we're able to receive applications and process them and determine eligibility, we'll be able to have a better update for everybody once the program is launched.
And a couple questions about documentation. So when will the contractor documentation and when will the customer handbook be available?
Sure. So that will be available upon program launch. And as I mentioned before, that is scheduled for early January. Once again, I also realize that's a vague answer, but it took a little bit longer for us to lock in incentives for 2017 and also finalize some of these updates in the program. So at this time, I'm gauging the best guess will be within the first 2 weeks of January, and we will be sure to communicate with everybody and that the new handbook is available and the agreements are available for you guys to submit to the program.
I think that's the end of the questions. Just to follow on what Stephanie was saying, this meeting is meant to kind of give you guys an insight into what's going to be in the handbook and what are some of the major rule changes and incentive structure changes that are coming. So if you have questions in the interim about how to interpret what we've mentioned today, we're happy to discuss with you. But as Stephanie said, we're doing our best to get these out as quickly as possible. So we'll be in touch when everything's available and ready to launch. Are there any other questions about anything related to the launch or any of the materials that Stephanie's presented today? If you do an assessment, are you obligated to do the improvement?
So with that question, I'm going to kind of set it up in the terms of if you do an assessment, the project is not obligated to do the upgrades. However, keep in mind that the assessment and upgrade incentives are not paid until the project is complete. So if you're providing an assessment for a customer, and they decide not to go through with the upgrades and participation in the program will not incentivize that project. Any other last ones, Mike?
I think that's it. We're getting more thank yous, so I think we're good to go for now. Thanks,
Okay,
Steph.
great. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining and have a wonderful new year, and we will be in touch in the upcoming weeks. Thank you, everyone.